Right, today we're going to talk about money, what it is, what its functions are in the economic system and its history. How it evolved into what we think of as the modern money. Money is very essential, fundamental to the workings of an economic system. Without a sophisticated means of money, which is able to do certain functions, which we'll learn about, the modern economy would not be the modern economy. We would have a much less sophisticated economy, much less productive economy. Let's think about what we see as money. This is money, and really, intrinsically, it has very little value, doesn't it? It's a piece of paper with pictures on. So intrinsically it's not worth much, but it's legitimised. We all believe it to be money because the government authorises that is money, and that's what gives it its value. And we don't even need this now. We don't even need anything. Plastic cards, credit cards can be used as money. Just the number on the credit card, we can buy things with it. So money has become virtual. It's not even concrete, real. So let's first of all look at the functions of money. The functions of money. So money has to do certain things in an economy. For the economy to be modern and sophisticated and work well, it needs obviously to be a means of exchange, which is a payment system which is easy and immediate. So if I go to a shop, I can just pay for it and take what I want. Very easy, means of exchange. Measure of value, so money gives something a value that we can all relate to. So we all know that a cup of coffee in a bar is €1 or more or less €1. And that's because of money. It establishes that object or service has that value. So it's a good measure of value, and it establishes that value. It's a good reserve of value. I can work and I can earn my money and save it. I can use it in the future as a pension, or buy a house, or buy a new car. So it has a reserve. We are able to have a means of saving. It's also a means of deferred payment. So if I want a house, maybe, I go to the bank and it lends me money and I pay every month. So I can pay it in little bits. I can defer the payment. And money means we can do that. So to be a very sophisticated money, it has to have these things. The old means of money, or uses of money, didn't have these things. And we can look at the first way of trading as a barter system. So we didn't even use money. That's barter system is when I have an object and you have a different object, and we exchange it, and then I've got what I want and you've got what you want. But the difficulty was measuring the value of the objects. I don't know, if I've got a book and you've got a bottle of water, how many books for a bottle of water, or how many bottle of waters for a book, etc. It's very difficult to establish values in a barter system. That was one of the functions, isn't it, as a measure of value. That was a problem. But one of the biggest problems for the barter system was there was a need for a double coincidence of needs. What does that mean? That means that I have something you want and you have something I want. We've got this coincidence. Very difficult, isn't it? If you meet somebody and there's that, and what I want, I'm prepared to give, and the same for you. This coincidence is a very difficult to find someone in that position. And in a barter economy, obviously you would need a lot of people with different objects, all exchanging the objects until everybody's happy. And it would get very complicated. So that double coincidence of needs really restricted trade and therefore production in a barter system with that form of money. So what happened is people started to notice a particular commodity was valued by everybody, and that commodity became money, whether it was tobacco, beer, shells or slaves or whatever. If it was commonly agreed that that commodity had a value of, this much, that commodity could be used. It's the same in modern day in prisons. They use often cigarettes to buy and sell things. Cigarettes are used as money. Or even in the global system, sometimes we use petrol, oil, as a form of money. Maybe Saudi Arabia will give England a certain quantity of oil in exchange for military equipment, etc. Often poorer countries where the money has very little value, they can use this system, commodity money. But commodity money had its problems. It didn't fulfill the functions that a sophisticated money needs to fulfill. We can think about commodities can be perishable, like sheep. They can die or get ill, or beer can go off, it becomes bad. And so it's not a good means of saving. Remember, a reserve of value. It needs to be a reserve of value. Commodity money depends on the commodity, but sometimes they don't last. It can be difficult to divide, so we can't have, it can't become a good measure. For example, if I've got a cow and you've got a book, I can't just cut off the leg of the cow to give you, to exchange for the book, can I? So it needs to be a commodity. Money needs to be something you can divide and then measure. Or transport. Commodity money, if it is cows, they're difficult to transport. Money needs to be something you can put in your pocket, otherwise it becomes difficult to trade. So what happened? The next evolution of money was precious metals, because with precious metals they're easier to transport, they can be divided. With gold, for example, you can make gold coins, and that can have an established value. They don't perish. So gold for a long time became our means of money, and gold coins were produced so they can be used as money. Now, what about notes? So that's how coins evolved. But notes were different. They evolved because people weren't happy carrying gold around because it can be stolen. Somebody could rob you and take all your gold. So they put their gold in goldsmiths, and the goldsmiths gave certificates of deposit to prove that was your gold. And those deposits started to be exchanged for goods and services. So if somebody wanted a product, they could give their certificate of deposit, and that could be transferred to the goldsmith and the gold collected. So these certificates of deposit became what we know as modern money. These goldsmiths became banks and were eventually controlled by the government. And even the government guarantees in the old money, in the old system, that a certain amount of gold can be exchanged for your pounds or whatever, or your dollars. But this didn't last. This economic system where the money could be exchanged for gold didn't last. It collapsed. In fact, when the Americans pulled out of the gold standard system after the Big Depression, and now we have fiat money. So we have fiat money. It's not convertible into gold. And where does that value come from then? Well, it comes from the power of an economy, the strength of an economy. If, for example, Europe produces a lot of products and services the world wants. The world wants the euros. So there's a big demand of euros. And then the value of euros goes up. If, on the other hand, nobody wants the products and services made and produced in Europe, the euro goes down. So it's the market for the money which creates the value. But it's the government which decides that there is a value. So we've got what we call legal money. Is set by law what is money, and it's legally accepted. It must be accepted as money. This legal money is controlled by the central banks and the governments. Money can also be bank money. The most modern money is bank money. Like I said before, credit cards can buy and sell. You can buy and sell using credit cards, so using plastic. So money's become virtual. Can be transferred all over the world just through a number system. If you've got the credit card number, you can buy something. What makes a good money? Just thinking about the history of money and the problems we had, it's got to be acceptable. Yes, it's got to be commonly accepted. Legal money, the modern money, is accepted because the government says it's acceptable. We can even have local money, local in towns. Maybe the town can create money, or even an organisation can create it. We've got one money called bitcoins, created by the internet for use as a global money. So it doesn't have to just be a government and a country, but it needs acceptability. Durability, so it's got to be able to last, not like the bear and the sheep we saw with the commodity money. Portability, carryable. We can divide it, and very important, scarcity. If it's something like shells, anybody can go to the beach and just create money, just go and collect shells and go and spend them. It needs to be scarce and controlled. Normally the governments control this scarcity. Maybe they print more money sometimes when it's needed, or less when it's not. But I mean, even the quantity of money is a bit deceptive. It's not the quantity of money which is important, in fact, it's the circulation, the speed of the circulation. If I buy something from someone else and they buy something from someone else, and it goes around 5 people. This €20 has created €100 worth of value, hasn't it? Yes? So it's not the quantity, it's the circulation speed which is important. So it can be deceptive, even that.